My name is Jason Fincher. I'm the current seated president for the Association of Marine Corps Logisticians. I think we have about a month and a half left in my tenure because we're having elections come up first part of December, and looking for that fresh blood to come and unseat me and take over the reins and take AMCL into 2021.
Yeah. We're just going to be very careful about voter irregularities.
Yeah. I think we can count faster than Georgia, but we'll see. Any case, I'm going to turn it over to Kurt. Kurt's VP of Operations. He sets a lot of these up, so go ahead and take it, Kurt, for introductions.
Sure, thanks, Jason. So I think most of the folks here know me, and just quick background, right? So one of the things that, as Jason mentioned, we've been kicking off. COVID's been a bummer. Last year or earlier this year, we were kind of running full speed with some industry tours and stuff like that. Obviously, all the in-person stuff really took a nosedive with COVID. So we made the adjustment going virtual. The last talk we had was Colonel Aaron Angel, who gave us a virtual PME on the sort of the future of logistics training and education, and really successful. And so now I've done, as most of you know, I've done some work with the Centers for Adaptive Warfighting in particular. Well, really, I was just enthralled by the course that I had the opportunity to take with the Executive Leaders course down there at Camp Johnson. And it really spoke to me a lot. Was really impressed with the work that the CAW is doing out there. Now that they've got CAW East, CAW Okinawa just stood up, CAW NCR. And so they've been doing a lot of great training for a lot of folks. And I'm, as additional background, down here at LogCom in my sort of active duty hat that I wear, working with Mike and the CAW team to bring some of that training down here to LogCom first week of December. I actually have, I think, Mike, about 3 or 4 of my guys up in your training this week up there. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so including my deputy is up there this week. So I'm a big believer in agile and the agility things that the CAW is teaching, trying to bring it down here to LogCom, and my stretch goal is to maybe become CAW South down here. We'll see if we can get that going. But I'm talking too much here, so what I want to do is turn it over to the CAW team, and let's hear from the awesomeness going on there. So over to you guys.
I'll go real quick since I'm the only one in the room, and then I'll pass it over to the 3 guys. My name is Mike Lavery. I'm the call director at Naval X, and I work with Roy as my deputy at NCR. I also manage the call remote, and I'll pass it to Mackenzie.
Hey, so I'm the director for CAW East down in Lejeune. Roy's located there as well as the deputy for the CAW overall. I work I'm a supply officer, so AMCL is close to my heart. I'm a member of AMCL. And then I love what we do here down in the CAW. I think it has a lot of potential to do a lot of good for the Marine Corps.
Absolutely. My name is Roy Nanku. I'm an electronics maintenance technician by trade. I work at 2nd Maintenance Battalion. Happen to be a staff sergeant as well. A big shout out to the maintenance operations section, getting after things when it comes down supporting the meth and things of that nature. So again, like Mike said and Max said, I'm also the deputy director for Centers for Adaptive Warfighting. Things that we do, well, we're all a bunch of volunteers. We volunteer our time for getting away from our office spaces, getting the blessings from our units to get after training that needs to be done, either it being design thinking or some agile training. Since the inception of the Centers for Adaptive Warfighting, we've trained over 1,500 service members as well as government employees getting after things that we just get after things, okay? Some of the training that we provide is warfighter center design, which is a human-centered design variant of training that is similar to the civilian sector, where we get to problem frame and identify the status quo of some issues, some opportunity statements to identify what that utopia or perfect world may look like, and then create actionable items. It's fantastic. Another training that we do is military Scrum Master course, where we take agile training, agile methodology, agile practices, and we form a team, or it's not really form a team, it's to reignite what teamwork truly is as we get after visions that may be set by our commander, as we advocate commander's intent and allow these processes and things that we need to do, let it radiate from the left to the right through the information radiator. Pretty cool. Another thing that we do is the executive leadership course, something that Kurt was talking about. I believe it was last year where Kurt, you joined in with that along with other 05, 06 leadership. It was amazing, great time getting that buy-in from individuals just like Kurt. It was intertwined with WCD, again, our design thinking variant, and a little bit of Scrum, military Scrum, and just kind of having a conversation about some higher level executive leadership level items. Which rolls into why do we even exist? We have the time and space and definitely the blessings of Naval X. Since its inception under the Workforce Agility, the Centers for Adaptive Warfighting has been doing amazing things.
So Matt, do you want to talk about Naval X a little bit?
Sure. What's going on, everyone? Matt Denny, or Mohawk Matt, as many may know me. Really, I am just here for the good hair, obviously. So if anyone needs a mohawk, hit me up. I'll teach you how. And there's actually a video about it on YouTube, because that's how we roll. So as Naval X, like Mike Lavery is, I am a rotational Naval X. We're both at what you'd call the Naval X HQ or headquarters. I don't like to call us the parent command of the CAW, because like any parent, nobody can control the CAW. So we're not going to be their parent anyway. They are running out doing fantastic things. But what's really great is as the CAW is able to go and run and bring these great trainings to you all, to the Marine Corps and the Navy at the speed that they want to, Naval X is here to provide that support. Like, hey, we need this. We're getting blocked here. We have a direct tie to Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Secretary Jim Hondo Gertz, and he is an ASN for Research Development Acquisition. And so he is on a mission to help connect and bring these tools from industry out to the workforce and to connect the greater workforce to help each other, just like the CAW is doing. So Naval X is really involved in the CAW as a support matter, making sure, blocking some of those barriers that they may hit, but really the CAW, the Marines, Mike, they are doing all the work. Again, Naval X here for good hair and supporting you all in whatever you're doing. To Kurt's point earlier, I'll be going to LogCom in this perspective of not to mess with what the CAW is doing, but to help highlight the greatness that's happening at LogCom from AMCL, ACML, which is the right one. I'm going to get it wrong, so one of you will correct me, no worries. That's your job, and what it is, it's my job to make you all look good, which you already do, and that's what I do at Naval X. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer, and I'm taking all the greatness that's going on and making sure the Navy, Marine Corps workforce knows the great that's happening and everyone else.
So when we talk about our two courses, Warfighter Centered Design and Military Scrum Master, for those that aren't familiar, what does a Marine or a unit get from Warfighter Centered Design? It's giving you bottom-up feedback in a tangible way, in an actionable way, and it helps Marines re-engage with how to critically think and how to problem solve. That's really what design thinking, the theory behind it, is getting after. When we talk military Scrum, we're talking about productivity. Whenever I say productivity, people start to think process improvement, quality control, Lean Six Sigma stuff. So military Scrum is significantly different from that. They're both great tools. Military Scrum will make you more effective the day after you start implementing it. Lean Six Sigma, you're looking at process improvement, you need to do projects. Military Scrum is going to make you more effective in accomplishing your mission with your team day to day. It's going to increase your output and then help you define value based off of your customers, which might be supported units, but can also be higher headquarters, adjacent units, supporting units. Many units have already started implementing these things. So we have people from LogCom, 101st Airborne Division down here, and TBS this week. Upcoming, like we've said, we're going down to LogCom, and we actually have the entire 05 and 06 staff for 2nd Marine Division immediately following LogCom. Prior to that, we had 2nd Recon, 3rd Marine Raider Battalion, 1st Marine Raider Battalion, Naval Special Warfare, 2nd Maintenance Battalion, and numerous entities within the MLG division and the wing now, as of a few months ago, on both the East Coast, West Coast, and as of like yesterday? As of yesterday in Okinawa. So they're out there, they're available, and we're here to support.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, hey guys, if you don't mind me asking a quick question. So keeping in mind that we're recording right here, we're going to post this out again for our members to view online. Could you talk to us a little bit, almost in a one-on-one sort of way? What actually, you mentioned a little bit, Mackenzie, on the kind of what the courses are, but give us kind of a one-on-one. What are the classes? How long are they? What's the target audience? And that sort of thing that you're reaching out to. And then following on to that, one part, 17 questions, 3 parts, whatever that is. So follow on with what are some of the success stories you've had and what units are implementing that you've got feedback from. Over.
Okay. Absolutely. So Warfighter Center Design can be a 1-day or a 2-day course. Here in NCR, we just did a 1-day variant. There's also remote classes, each of which are 1 day. The 2-day variant of WCD, Warfighter Center Design, is the ideal end state. It's supposed to produce a facilitator so that they can self-sustain their own workshops once they've gone through the class. What it is we're talking divergent and convergent thinking. So if you're thinking Marine Corps planning process, you're looking at problem framing. In design thinking, we're talking about brainstorming and divergent thinking through a convergent thinking cycle, which is going to produce a minimum viable product type solution. Something that is ready to action, ready to be pitched to senior leaders right out of the gate. When we talk military scrum master, can we pan the camera?
And the camera.
So we're sitting in a classroom right now where we're teaching military scrum masters. This is ACT. Military scrum master, we're talking about the effectiveness of a team. We're talking 7 to 9 people.
Other board. We're agile over here.
We're adaptive. Are we? Yeah, okay, so we're talking 7 to 9 people getting after it. It lets you plan deeper out. You are over there? Stay right there. All right, we're panning. So you're talking about the principles of Scrum.
We lost your audio. There we are.
AMCL, we're now with 2nd Marine Division, 05 to 16 that can implement this and get after it at the unit level.
We might need a quick rewind on that one because I lost a little bit of the audio.
Lost the audio. Go ahead and say it again. Just
So in Agile, we believe in responding to change over following a plan. Isn't that right?
Sir, can you say again?
So in Agile, we believe in responding to change over following a plan. So that's what we're doing right now. And maybe just kind of walk us back through what you just said a minute ago.
So what we're targeting with military scrum masters, we're targeting leaders that can take a team of 5 to 6 individuals and get after improving their unit. So what this does, what this scrum board that you're looking at does, is the backlog, the to-do. All this is doing is it's letting you get after, plan further out. It's letting you adapt, respond to change more quickly. Find change.
We got this.
And it's letting you track what your capacity is as you're accomplishing work. It's nothing new. It's things that we already know about, commander's intent. It gives a management framework and a tool that allows us to apply things we already learn and know as Marines.
So you mentioned that you're getting ready to teach a whole cadre of lieutenant colonels, but I know you've also taught down to the individual Marine and NCO level. And I had an opportunity to see it actually get briefed by some, I think, some of the sergeants that are using this. So is this a tool that kind of spans multiple ranks and kind of walk me through the sort of the rank leader level, if you will?
Absolutely. So, again, any leader that has a team. So, you got individuals at the MEF staff level that are using this in MEF staff sections. You have battalion commanders using this in the MLG and division. And then you have NCOs using it down at the section level. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Roy to talk about the NCO and staff NCO level.
Absolutely. You definitely want to get them into the mix. Getting that insight of, so we got the subject matter experts. We have our high-level executive level leadership, high-level leadership, and we have our low-level leadership as well. We would typically call them our outliers, right? That frozen middle is where we want to attack. We definitely want to hear from them and garner some perspectives from them. With that, these two trainings that we provide, we help create intrinsically motivated individuals. Why say extrinsic individuals we teach this, we facilitate this, those who are targeting power, money, status, you name it. People want to work, you know? People want to get after things. They want to meet the commander's intent and vision. Me being in the frozen middle, find ourselves, we kind of lose sight of what the commander's intent is, the purpose, the method, the end state for us to get at. We're reigniting this here during our facilitation. We are not going far against the institution and the core values. We are reigniting it with adaptive and agile training. Absolutely.
Well, I want to ask you guys one question, if I can, Kirk. I'm asking you. I'm asking you, Roy.
Send it.
Is there a wrong Marine to go through this course?
No, not at all. Send it. Send them all. We don't have rank requirements. I mean, we have a lot of individuals that ask, hey, military training, can I send my sergeant? Yeah, send that sergeant. They're leaders. We'll send that corporal. Absolutely. They're non-commissioned officers. We're reigniting that. If you have some Marines under your charge, hey, you're a leader. That's elementary, right? We know that, right? Bring them on in. I'm 32 years old. I wish I knew this when I was 22 years old. Where would I be at? To the ability to take a look at a task, a large objective, and slice it down, then ideate and identify what the definition of done of each task looks like, 100%. Like for everyone to know what done looks like so that we meet the intent of our higher headquarters. And then along with military scrum, we also ideate what's the level of effort that's put into each task by assigning effort points. So that's kind of like how military scrum works. Yeah, so we're open to all. Send it.
Awesome. So, well, you mentioned that you've implemented this even at your work at Maintenance Town, and I know there's a lot of others who have done that too, and Mackenzie, I think, has implemented it in some of the places where he's worked. Can you talk us through how it's been ingested into Marine Corps units and at what levels, and what are the impacts that you're seeing?
Absolutely. I can totally speak intelligently about 2nd Maintenance Battalion. We've had amazing commanders. We have great, the officer corps is amazing. The staff NCO corps, phenomenal to allow us the time and space to implement these fantastic whiteboards and yellow stickies that are completely available at ServMart. So I love it. They allow us this space to ideate. How can we get after their vision? So Scrum was actually started by predominantly by Captain Aaron Barlow. He went through the training about a year and a half ago. Yes, absolutely. Lieutenant Colonel Christina R. Henry, 100%. I saw that little chat right there, it popped up. So Captain Barlow, he went through the training. She is awesome. That's gonna I love the comments. So when we do remote facilitation, I'm all about the comments, people's feedback, valuing one another's feedback. So Captain Barlow implemented Scrum at his company level. He basically started Scrum at scale, scaling Scrum, where he did at the company level, where he got his OICs and staff NCOs to jump on in what we call a daily Scrum or a daily stand-up. From there, his OICs and staff NCOs down at the platoon level held their own Scrum meeting. So we're essentially creating a Scrum of Scrums. Pretty awesome. Then some individuals went to the training as well, including myself. We just implemented a Scrum board within the maintenance operations section. And if you're familiar with maintenance operations section, they deal with personnel, equipment, to support the MEF's call regarding exercises, operations, individual augments, you name it. So, so in the operations section, we were able to ideate what we need to get after. For me, I kind of went to work and kind of did stuff, or I'm speaking on behalf of some members of my team as well. We just kind of did stuff. When we go home, we ask ourselves, hey, what did we really get after? You know, we got stuff done. The task came in the email. So when we implemented Scrum, we were able to contextually create a visual board of what we truly do get after. We realized that, hey, we could probably maximize what we do and how we get after it. Fantastic. We then developed and created new tasks, or we pried into our OIC, who got at his meetings, the Big Five meetings with the battalion commander and higher headquarters. We envisioned, we added more to the board for us to get after that we could place the most value towards. So there's, in 2nd Maintenance Battalion, there's about probably 20 different boards. How do we start? Bottom-up refinement. Me as a staff sergeant, I wish that, you know, someone up high can just say, hey, we will scale Scrum. It will now be a top-down direction of implementing Scrum, because no commander is going to say, hey, stop doing that Scrum stuff because it works too good, you know? So it's really cool that we have the time, the space, the blessing to implement an agile methodology like Scrum.
All right, so you've done some great work here in teaching this stuff. So how has it been applied when so many folks these days have to work remotely? I mean, the sticky note method is great. You know, when everybody can come to the daily stand-up, 15 minutes, you know, what did you do since we last spoke? What are you doing today? And what's in your way? The 3 questions you ask in a daily stand-up, right? So how do you do that when everybody's in telework and we're in like a Zoom or a Google Meet environment, or what tools are out there to help you do Scrum remote?
So in the military, the Marine Corps specifically, there's a couple tools out there at different levels of classification. Everybody has MS Teams now that we've cut over to Office 365. There's an application in there called Planner. We used that when we had to be remote earlier in the summer. Not only for our day-to-day operations, we did our change of command and a couple other things and OPTs using that while we were remote on the NIPR side, and then on higher levels of classification, there's JIRA, and it does require a little bit of work though to get that. That's not going to come out of the box with a computer like Microsoft Teams does. So those kinds of approved computer applications enable us to do things remotely fairly effectively. It adds a level of complexity because you do have to understand how to use them. It's not as it's pretty hard to not understand how to use a sticky. But you can misuse Planner or JIRA and it won't be effective anymore.
I'm going to add to that real quick. I've even seen it to a point, yeah, we're getting a little too close. Matt calls me, I know. But I've also seen people just taking a sticky note on their webcam and having their remote, or having their stand-ups, just holding it up on cam. Like, yes, there is software out there, but you don't need that. You can still do this because that physical stand-up is in person. You can do the same thing. Everyone can zoom in on my sticky board at home, and everyone just hold up, these are my tasks, and they can see. So it is doable and achievable even without tools.
Yeah, I've seen people create boards just using Excel spreadsheets, right? In some ways, but so that's awesome. What else can you tell us about the about the courses and the executive leader courses and what you have coming up, and how do people get involved?
So there's a McKeach website out there that has both remote and in-person classes for Okinawa, West Coast, East Coast, and NCR scheduled out. So we encourage people to get on there. We can push that link out to you, Kirk, and it'll be out there when we release the video.
You can also Google NavalX CAW, C-A-W, and you will find it.
Boom.
Yeah, I posted it in the chat too.
There it is.
Awesome. I have a couple of more follow-up questions. So we've been pretty informal here on purpose. And can you talk to me a little bit about, we're often in a military context here and people have ranks and, that's what we're used to, and people are wearing uniforms and that's what we're used to. And, but we're calling each other by our first name. We're in civilian clothes. Can you talk to me about why is that? And what does that mean as far as so you kind of put folks at ease out there who might think about what is this business, and are you guys next going to start growing beards and get long hair and all that kind of stuff? What are we doing?
Well, we swear that Mike is a civilian. He's a Navy civilian. It's okay to have a beard. But to that point, it facilitates a more collaborative environment. It puts a sergeant and a full bird colonel in the same room, learning the same material at the same level, and they're able to do it. And then it facilitates frank feedback. If when you're running a warfighter-centered design workshop, if everybody's aware of the rank and billet that everybody else holds, you're not going to get full, open, and honest feedback that you need to build a status quo in order to solve a problem effectively. It prevents the people from anchoring others' opinions, whether you're scoring sticky notes or talking about effort, or you're talking about what problems are and ways to solve them. Anchoring is just simply, hey, I am, the guy in charge here, and this is my opinion, here's my 2 cents. That is going to psychologically draw everyone towards that opinion and maybe silence some people who are of a different opinion.
Check. Yeah, so when I took the executive leaders course and we were trying to, we as students had to then go teach some entry-level folks, entry-level listed that were coming through Camp Johnson. They were sort of the training aides almost. And we're in civilian attire. And of course, we all look old, and we're old. But when those young Marines figured out they were talking to a bunch of colonels at the end of the day, I think they were a little bit shocked by that. It was a lot of fun. But how would you respond to folks who would criticize and say, hey, this is another Marine Corps planning process, or 7 habits of highly effective people, or Lean Six Sigma, this is just another thing that I have to learn, and it's just too much, and my plate's already full. How would you respond?
2 ways. One, they're right. It is another tool in their rucksack. It's not going to be the perfect tool for everything. But it's a tool that has been proven effective multiple times over in every organization in the Marine Corps, whether it's acquisitions, whether it's a warfighting battalion, whether it's a logistics battalion, whether it's the wing. It's been proven successful on every coast, now in Okinawa, and I would start there. However, it is one of many tools, and we need to use the right tools for the right job. So warfighter-centered design is going to be right for some things and wrong for some things. Military Scrum Master is going to be right for some things and wrong for others. From my personal experience, I will say that it's right far more often than it's wrong. And if I thought walking backwards on our hands was going to make me and my shop and my team, my battalion more effective, I would do that instead of military Scrum.
Hey, Mac, can you also get into AMP? Because I think that is like one of the keys to Scrum.
So for Scrum specifically, we're talking AMP, autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Big difference. So I'm fortunate enough to have a Lean Six Sigma black belt. It's an awesome tool, but it doesn't empower Marines to get after problems. So when we're talking autonomy, one of the big things that I saw as we've been using Scrum, it's Marines that aren't necessarily pipe hitters are seizing the initiative. It's a tool that enables Marines of all levels of proficiency to seize the initiative and get after and get after work. Marines want to work, it turns out. They joined the Marine Corps for a reason, and this is, I think, a tool that helps them realize that and get after things. Mastery, we're talking in a cross-functional team, regardless of whether you're supply, whether you're maintenance, whether you're operations. It's going to let people master their jobs, not just their lane, but the holistic jobs. If you're working in an S3 and you start using Scrum, people are going to start learning their jobs. You're no longer just going to have a training officer and a training NCO. You're going to have your current operations folks that maybe understand a little bit more about how those 2 lanes intersect. And then purpose. Like I said, Marines joined the Marine Corps for a reason, and this really helps them get after accomplishing the mission. When we talk a definition of done, that enables me to translate the commander's intent from an 05 commander at Marine Special Operations Command to why that matters for a CMR, why that matters for the DASIF when we're talking supply, and it pays dividends.
That's awesome. I had another question just queued up, and now I've lost it. So, Mike Lavery, your job is to tell me what my question was. And for the other folks in the audience, I'm sort of monopolizing the time here, but please feel free to jump in with your questions as well. Because I know Joe Moy has one. Or not.
Well, hey, so I'm going to jump in here real quick because that's what I do. I want to share something a little bit different for you Marines and those watching. I was on a phone call 2 nights ago, Marine Corps birthday, hoorah. So talking to Marines around the world as we do on that birthday. And what happened was we were talking, and he's seen me post on LinkedIn. He's seen he talked about Scrum and human centered design, and he knew I did that for years. And he proposed to me that I should look into the call. He told me, hey, I just had to go through this class. He's out in 29 Palms. He took call remote. Said, hey, you should check this out. This is incredible. I think this is right up your alley. You could probably learn something from it. I was loving that. That is what's happening. This is getting out there so far. Marine Corps, sailors, civilians, it's mine and Mike's world, but it is like wildfire. So don't listen to us say that it's working. Listen to the 2,000 who have taken it. Matt and Roy are perfect examples. They are both Marines who took the class and now are teaching the class. But don't listen to us. It's going everywhere. So jump on before you're out.
Thanks, Mohawk Matt. I think Joe Moy, I think he's probably speaking into his mute button. I'm going to throw him under the bus there. It's probably not true, but go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so as somebody who can't grow a mohawk, even if I wanted to. And you may have touched on this a little bit, and I may have missed it while I was frozen, but what's your association with other organizations of similar intent and mission, both within the Marine Corps and then with other services?
Absolutely. Mike, you could jump in as well. So the Air Force variant, actually we have a facilitator that is a part of the Air Force variant, which is called Agitari. Stephen Augie, great individual. He's actually out of Seymour Johnson in North Carolina. He's an EOD tech. So we definitely do intertwine with organizations that are pretty lateral to us. When it comes to the AFWorks, when it comes to SOFWorks, AFWorks for the Air Force, SOFWorks for the Special Forces, that's more of the prototyping stage. So we focus mostly on the empathy, defining, ideating stage of it all. One of the problems, but not so much problems, is taking our ideas that we define and empathize about and creating them. But then again, our mission is very unique, where we empower the warfighter and the government employees to embrace an agile and collaborative transformation. So we want to give the warfighters and government employees the tools to get after it, build facilitators, build this facilitator core, and do things within their organizations. So we definitely do talk to different organizations that are lateral to us, especially the Defense Entrepreneurs Forum, right? So huge group. If you don't know about it, it's literally underneath our nose. It's crazy because the CAW and Agitari, AFWorks, SOFWorks, I would have never known about these different spaces if I didn't just trickle my nose over yonder and that way. I don't know where I would be 1 year ago if I wasn't pushed to embrace Agile. Mike?
Yeah, so a few other organizations that we've been talking to, like PMW 240, they are under PEO MLB on the Navy side, and they actually use our classes. They made a requirement to send all 412 employees, including service members, through our courses. So that's a unit who I'm hoping to to get them in touch with Kirk, actually. So they're kind of 6 months ahead of you in transformation. And we have something up our sleeves for that, but we'll talk about that later. And then there's also a group that we team with called the Tang. They're another Navy organization that does human-centered design, but they're more centered on the civilian sector and the call is on the military side.
So, Mike, we got two other questions.
That's great. It's just
sorry,
about Hondo Gert.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just commenting on Hondo Gert. Having come from with his association with SoftWorks and those folks down there, just a good association to have that community of interest as they learn things down there. And Hondo is a man that will support 100%. So it's good to have him on your team up at the higher level. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, during the outbriefs to Hondo, we are typically the number one or number two question, like how many people have you trained?
So to that point, Joe, John Margolick, who was one of the original directors of the call, was able to, through Naval X, connect me in my role as a supply officer in MARSOC to a bunch of innovative organizations. And like Naval X has truly been a super connector for me personally. And that's, the cause mission is a little bit different. And so we can talk end state in a second, but being nested with Naval X and working very closely with them is huge win. So what is the cause end state? I can speak to the cause stuff. Future of naval integration. I can't address naval integration. Naval logistics integration, naval integration, separate subject. But in terms of what the cause is trying to get after for the Navy and Marine Corps team, it's trying to make us more agile, right? The ideal end state is that people are coming up and able to use these tools. Entry-level officers, entry-level Marines, or every unit out there has somebody that understands this tool and is able to apply it to a problem. That's really our end state. Self-sustaining, we don't have to pay $30,000 to have a consultant come in and teach this to us. We're able to put it out there. Hey, I need to solve a problem. Cool. I'm going to do a WCD workshop. I'm going to throw it into a Scrum board, and we're going to get after it, and we're going to accomplish the mission.
Cool. And to the naval side of the house, a lot of the warfare centers started sending. Well, I don't know if they intentionally sent employees, but during COVID, a lot of the GS employees found the call classes, the call remote classes. And so I know at my home command, there's a lot of people who are using what they learned from the call in their everyday job. And we actually have 2 or 3 civilian Navy employees who are actually remote facilitators. And then we also work with the Naval Junior Officers Corps, NJOC. They teamed with us for the Agility Summit, and I'm actually trying to work with them to see if they can help with the NCR call. So there is definitely integration with on the Navy side of the house, and civilians are starting to attend. Well, not starting to, they have been attending. It's been like a 60-40 mix of military and civilians to our remote classes, probably.
Well, and I want to add something to that too, Mike. Just to the, what is a warfare center? Mike, we've said it a few times. A warfare center is a lab. It's an invention area. It's where people in the Navy are focusing on those hard technology problems. It's a different model. We won't get into that. But just, I know in the Marine Corps world, warfare center can be a foreign word. But essentially in our world, a warfare center is where the people are, it's where the money is, it's where the things are happening. And that's the difference between Naval X and things like AFWorks, SoftWorks. And even when Hondo stood up, Secretary Gert stood up SoftWorks, when he stood up Naval X, he was standing up in a different way where SoftWorks needed an area in the special ops world to do and invent and work on those hard technology problems then and there. NavalX is connecting, and we're connecting those existing tissue that's already there through those warfare centers and labs and things like the Marine Corps side as well. That's kind of I know warfare center can be a foreign word, just to clarify that there.
So another question out of the chat was, has anyone come back and tried and said, hey, this didn't work for me, and what were the biggest obstacles to implementation? I don't know of anybody that came back and said, hey, it's broke, it don't work. What we have seen 100% of the time is it will look different every single place. The biggest obstacles are to initial implementation, buy-in from both the bottom and the top. To long-term, it's sustainment. This isn't taught at the basic school. This isn't taught at an entry-level producing MOS school. So when somebody new comes in, they have to buy in, and they have to want to get after it and continue to do this. Or someone has to attend another course. So those are the two challenges we've had with in regards to implementation. Roy, have you seen anybody come back and say, hey, this straight up didn't work?
Not so much it didn't work. They through the adaptive process of the nature of military scrum, being agile, being adapted, they changed and evolved and morphed their military scrum board. For instance, a lot of questions. So this is from our facilitation today. It's 2 days long, so we did day one. This backlog started off with, I don't know if you can see this black lines. They started creating swim lanes going down. Then as they started to create more items to build their backlog of everything they plan to do, either they have to do tomorrow, 30 days from now, 60, the whole year, they realized when they added more to the backlog that these swim lanes shouldn't exist. If they were to slice up the tasks of the bigger picture by creating sub-tasks and subtasks of the objective, they'll realize that they're going to build more to the backlog and that it's going to morph and change over time. This is 1 day. For me, when I implemented Scrum, it definitely changed from sprint 1, sprint being 1 week long, sprint 1 to sprint 10, and sprint 10 to 40. Our Scrum board always tells a different story as we progress and change over time. I personally never heard anyone that implemented Scrum that went through, that stopped doing Scrum. No, they just kept going. They just basically rode the wave of the changes.
The one thing I would add to that is that typically the people where you get a lot of friction are the people who haven't been trained. So, like, if I was to recommend to anyone on this call, like, train your whole team together. Like, send them to a remote class, send them to an in-person class, because that, like, 1 or 2 people who don't go to the class, who aren't using the same language that the rest of the team is using, they're going to be sitting there like for the first like sprint or two, like, what is going on? You just flipped my world. I used to use a spreadsheet. Now you want me to use this wall? Like, and like, if you just send everyone to training at the same time, you level set the whole team and you're so much more successful. All the times where I've had teams that were like a struggle is because either I was told to come in from higher up and be like, hey, just change that team to a strong Scrum team, or when leadership didn't know what we were doing and it took them a while to figure out what was going on. And in the end, everyone just ended up using Scrum, but it's a whole lot easier if everyone's trained. Over.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I had a personal experience where some folks who I was leading through some Scrum stuff had not been trained and didn't really understand the why of why this works, and therefore didn't fully accept it. But I would ask that, you know, some of the things that Scrum, and if you read the books about it and everything, they sort of decry the waterfall method and some other things that the things that the Scrum process says are terrible would perfectly describe how we do military acquisitions. So I would have you seen a lot of interest from systems command or the program executive office land systems, the acquisitions community that sort of operates in that realm in the Marine Corps. Over.
I hope you guys notice how agile we are over here.
Self-selecting.
We're self-selecting the mute button over here. Yes, so I forgot the question because I was looking at Roy dance.
So do you need me to repeat the question?
Yeah, please.
So the question was, so given some of the agile processes and methodologies really are counterintuitive to the Marine Corps and to the government in many ways. And the things that when you read about it that the Scrum method and the Agile method specifically says are wrong is a case study in how we in the government do business, especially in the acquisitions realm. So I guess I'm trying to find out, have you had a lot of interest from the acquisitions community, and what's the feedback there?
So it's interesting. The ones that I've trained, so yes, I do have good hair, but sometimes I know how to train stuff. The ones that I've trained are actually more interested in human-centered design because it's the first time they're able to have that different way of thinking and expound differently. Scrum has actually been received very hard in the sense of, no, I've been doing this for 20 years. This young person's not going to come in and tell me with all this new stuff, whatever it is. It is received a lot harsher than human-centered design, and it's
because I need my Gantt chart, I need my waterfall. Exactly. That's how we do it, right?
Exactly, and a lot of them in the acquisitions world are following the DoD 5000 and the Navy 5000, which words don't mean much on this call, but they're structures that they have to work inside of, and so they don't know how to operate differently. When you come as a new contracts officer or a new program manager, you're given a manual, and I've seen it. It's an actual manual, and telling them, hey, you should have a stand-up meeting every day. And that's not in the manual. Like, they cannot process that's how to do something differently. And to do the Scrum, it messes with them, but it's not a no. Mike and I are working with a team right now. I think that's what he's about to talk to. You about to talk to PMW?
Yeah, so I can't hear what. Yeah, so like PMW 240, they're moving to Scrum teams, but I'm not sure how they're overlaying them into the requirements process. That's like the whole side of the house that is stuck in the waterfall, because in the end, when you're writing a contract, you need something concrete at the end, and contracts have not adapted to the agile. You know what? Let's see what the 20% solution of a software application is going to be, and then get user feedback. So the acquisition side of the house that I'm familiar with, it's still a bottom-up implementation of Scrum. Like, I was on a Scrum team working on a Navy project. The program office was still using a traditional waterfall project plan, but all the teams underneath were running Scrum and just meeting deadlines. And so that's my experience. And I agree that the contracts as a whole, as I worked in a Marine Corps program office too, they just need to wrap their heads around how they can write a contract. And I've seen good ones figure it out, but write a contract where you can base it on iterative development.
Well, and the way that we do that is using the lean startup methods that are taught by the CAW, plug, to understand what their real problems are. Because the conversations I've had, you're just throwing Scrum in there, they're like, but I've gone down, I spent the last couple of years before Naval X going to different units and organizations and working with them for a week as a new employee, like undercover boss, and actually learning what the problems are, and then approaching Scrum and human-centered design through the different, after understanding how and what they do and why they do it. So a lot of it is the culture, really. A lot of it comes as if you shove it down their throat, they're going to say no. But if you try to understand from their perspective of why they're doing it, they're a lot more susceptible to it and accepting of it. And I will add, Scrum is also very heavy in the software development world, in the acquisitions community. In the government, I came from software a couple years ago, and that's all we used. So it is being used. It's just newer to being applied to things other than software. And your guys' the CAW example and the way the Marines are taking it are actually one of the biggest things that I share, because it shows them it's better than just for software. That's where a lot of folks in the government have heard, oh no, that's a software thing. Take that over to the software development team. We don't do that here. And so a lot of it's just showing people that it can be used in different ways and not shoving it down their throat, and they're more susceptible to it.
So Mohawk Matt, I got some serious hair envy going on, but aside from that, we're almost out of time. So for the CAW team, I'll turn it over to you for some wrap-up comments before we close out here. What's the last thing that you want us to remember about the Centers for Adaptive Warfighting and the agility training that you guys provide?
Just do it. It'll make you more effective.
You stole my line.
I know.
Absolutely. Everything that we do is for the CAW, for our organization, to empower our warfighters to be stronger, to be harder, to be smarter, and more agile. Every task needs a fight for its life.
Yes.
I can't follow those guys. I don't have a good line like "just do it" or every task has to fight for its life. But I'm here to empower those two individuals and give them the floor. So if you guys ever need them to come to your place, or individuals like them, because they're not the only two in the call, get in touch with them or me, and we'll try to get you guys some training.
So I think we said it once before, and I stole a quote, and I can't take full credit for it, but I modified it, and I said, be polite, be professional, but have a plan to kill every task you meet, right? I think we all recognize where that comes from.
I think you're stretching there, Kurt. I think you're stretching.
Sounds like a buggy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
sounds familiar somehow.
So Jason, over to you.
Yeah, guys, this is really informative, really great presentation. We're super. Yeah, I work Agile every day. You got me all super excited about it again because it's good stuff. But definitely we'll do more in the future as we try to combine Association of Marine Corps logistics events with Center for Adaptive Warfighting events, or classes, or just information. So we'll share you, we'll follow you, we'll do everything we can to get more attention on you guys because you're doing great stuff, and the Marine Corps needs more of it. So with that, I think I'll call it close. I've been kind of silent because I've been running the switchboard here trying to record things and juggle things. But thanks, 100%. This is awesome. You guys are great.